Hi, my name's Tom. This is my first ever YouTube video, and the subject of this video is the Insight Honda Hybrid. This is a 2019 model we're going to be using today. It's got about 17,000 miles on it. I've owned it since March of 2019. It's the Touring Edition. I'll give you just a quick look. It has been a really good car. I've had a few little minor mechanical problems with it, all covered under warranty. But overall, it's given me excellent service and great gas mileage. And today I'm going to take you on a tour of some Carmel, Indiana roundabouts. We have 120 in the city. We're going to see a few of them and record my gas mileage at the same time. I'm going to take this GoPro, mount it on the underside of my sunroof and point it so you can see the road and the in-car display. So here we go. Okay, let's get this party going. Just about to exit my subdivision and heading for the first roundabout. So Carmel has 120 of these roundabouts, more or less. That's the number that's on their website anyway. So we're going to go through a few of them, not all 120 by any means. And we're going to come back to where we started for our mileage test. So here comes the first roundabout. This is at Shelbourne and 116th Street. 15 miles per hour is an advisory sign. They've proposed to make that a city speed limit, but they being the mayor, but the city council, who also has to drive these roundabouts, said no way. So if you look down here at the screen, I've got the power meter up. And that's going to tell us where the power is coming from and where it's going. It's very similar to the Prius screen, and you'll see it changing a lot. Like right now we're on battery power, averaging 42.2 miles per gallon at the moment. Now, the idea of a hybrid is to use battery power as much as you can. Here comes a school speed limit. Use battery power as much as you can to supply power to the wheels. Because electric motors are a heck of a lot more efficient than gasoline engines, more than twice as energy efficient. Now, that works pretty well around town where the power demands are very low compared to where they are on the highway. And that's where these cars excel. And they really excel where you have a lot of roundabouts. There's no other place like Carmel in the United States, so these results are probably not going to be typical of what you can get elsewhere. You will not see a stop sign or a stoplight on this tour. I'm going to be on the main thoroughfares and doing nothing but roundabouts, which is easy to do if you know where they are. So we'll string a bunch of them together and see how good the mileage will get. Now I'm expecting to get 60 or better. I have done as high as 70 around town. You just heard 2 clicks. That was me engaging the maximum regenerative braking. And you can see how it was regenerating. Now I'm getting power from the battery, and now I pushed a little harder and I'm getting power from both the battery and the engine. And now the battery's getting power back in. So let's go back into regen mode and then into battery mode. We started building roundabouts in the city 10, 12 years ago on a steady pace of 10 to 12 per year. So yeah, we're at up to 120. And 10 more are going in by this time next year. Several of those are currently under construction. we've eliminated almost all the stop signs and stoplights on our major thoroughfares in the city. And I can't emphasize too much how much that has enhanced hybrid fuel efficiency, because I will hardly have to touch the brakes. And brakes are a terrible waster of energy if you can do something else with that energy. In this case, we're putting it back into the battery. So we're going down a hill here, and instead of the engine being on and supplying braking, I'm using the regeneration capabilities to slow down and get through this roundabout and never touch the brakes. In fact, I haven't touched the brakes yet. That's part of the secret. Well, it's not really a secret of how hybrids get better gas mileage in the city than they do in a more rural environment where they're running at higher speeds and the engine is going to be running almost all the time, especially if you're doing 70 or better in this car. The engine is going to run probably 95% of the time. So you're not going to get much better fuel economy than you will in a conventionally powered Civic, which this car is based on. It's not a Civic. It's very different in many respects, but it's based on the Civic platform. So we're up to 65.6 here. That may be about as good as it gets, because we have been a little bit downhill here. There are a couple of other things besides speed that affect hybrid fuel efficiency, and the biggest one, much more so even than stop-and-go driving, is the need to heat the cabin in the wintertime. If you've ever looked at Tesla's range in their cars, you'll see that in the wintertime, in a really cold climate, the range is cut by about half. And that's because the battery has to be used to heat the cabin as well as supply power to the wheels. And they use resistance heating, which is very inefficient. So we're going through a roundabout that has 2 lanes on each, going around it, and in Indiana, you can, if you're going straight, you can choose your lane, left or right. If you're turning left, you have to be in the left lane. If you're turning right, you have to be in the right lane. And we'll see that here in just a minute when I make a left turn on this little route. Okay, so then we're going to go straight through the next roundabout and then turn left at the one after that. And up past here, or east of here, we're going east right now, east of here there are 2 roundabouts under construction. And they've got part of this street shut down from 4 lanes to 2 lanes up there for the construction project. So I'm not going to go up that way. So then I'll get into downtown Carmel, and there will be some stoplights there that are soon going to be replaced. That's part of the project for next year, is to replace 2 of those downtown stoplights with roundabouts. So if I turn left here, I'll go north on Meridian Street that we just went under. Now I need to be in the left-hand lane because I'm going to turn left on Pennsylvania. Oh, he didn't have to stop. Yeah, he did. The traffic inside the circular, we call it, that's the roundabout is the circular, has the right-of-way. So I have to wait here and make sure, yep, that guy on my left was going to go straight. So now we'll turn left. And we're going north. Oh, we're up to over 70 miles to a gallon. This car has been on a number of long trips, the longest one being a trip to Atlanta and back to see my family down there. And on that trip, we averaged almost 50 miles to a gallon. And we cruised at 70 all the way down there and back through Kentucky and Tennessee and North Georgia. Normally on the highway, this car will get, depending on weather and how fast you're going, 48 to 52 miles a gallon. And wind too. Wind can have a big effect. If you have 20 mile an hour wind on your tail, it really helps. If you've got a 20 mile an hour headwind, it'll hurt you. So we're going to go straight here. And I just clicked in max regen. I did have to touch my brakes back there when that truck stopped. So far I haven't had to hit them again. And I'm still doing almost the speed limit, which through here is 40 if I remember correctly. So here we go around this one. And I'm going to take a right here. You can turn right out of the left-hand lane in that roundabout. That's really unusual. Maybe the only one in the city where you can do a right turn out of the left lane, because that right lane back there is right lane only. And it's going into a 2 lanes, so they let you have your choice there. We'll go straight ahead here. And get that little blue car get out of the way, and here we go. Another thing that can affect fuel mileage in town is traffic. In heavy traffic, you do have to stop at roundabouts. So far we have been very light traffic. Here is pretty much have been ever since March when the COVID lockdowns went into effect. Pretty much everything has opened up around here in the last 6 weeks. All the restaurants and some of the recreational facilities. We still don't have any kind of mass gatherings. No sporting events. You might have seen the Indianapolis 500 ran without fans. Our basketball team, the wonderful Pacers, just lost 4 in a row to the Miami Heat down in Florida. No fans saw that live. Okay, gotta get by this guy. We're going to go straight here, and since I'm in the right lane, I'll just stay in the right lane this time. And you can see the pavement markers here indicating the direction of travel from the lane you're in. So we will continue. Oh, that guy just turned in front of me. He wasn't supposed to turn right there. That was a solid white line. He broke the rules, but he got away with it. Coming up to St. V's Hospital, St. Vincent. Yeah, we're still doing, 66.6. I figured it would start to drop off a little bit. And we're headed downhill now, so getting lots of good regen in. I'm going to be turning left up here. And we're going through a very complicated series of roundabouts here. I'm not going to turn left at this one because I don't want to go to the hospital. And I want to stay in the proper lane because if I don't, I might wind up going into the hospital as a patient. So here I can turn left out of either lane. So I'll just stay in this lane, and this is where we're going to turn left. Go back under Meridian Street. Continue to stay in this lane. Had to tap the brakes there. Now I want to turn left, so I'm going to have to shift lanes here. And turn left at the next roundabout. Did you follow all that? That's pretty complicated. That's probably the most complex roundabout system we've got in the city right there. So have another roundabout. Anybody out there keeping count? I haven't. And again, no brakes. If you look down here, we'll see that we have 72 miles of range left. But the low fuel light isn't even on yet. I've got, right at the moment, 468 miles on this tank of gas. And it's only a 10.5 gallon tank. So the system is telling me I'm going to get roughly 540 miles out of that 10.5 gallon tank. And I believe it, I've done it before. This tank's been all around town. I haven't done any highway travel on it at all. Oh, wait a minute. Let me think about that. Yeah, I have. I drove over to Terre Haute and back on this tank. There's some other interesting numbers here. Let's look at the trip meter. So, current drive, we've averaged 69. For the trip, for this tank of gas, 54.4. And for trip B, which has never been reset, 17,681 miles, and I've averaged 50.2 year-round for all the miles except the first 8/10 that was on the car before I bought it. I bought this car about a week after it was manufactured, according to the sticker on the door. And the car was born, if you will, in Greensburg, Indiana, at the Honda plant there, just about 40 or 50 miles from here. So let's go back to the power flow gauge. Come on, there we go. Oh, speed limit, 25. Okay. And I tapped the brakes there too. So you noticed that because I was messing around with the display. And yeah, I see a bunch of cars in the back. Schools are in session here. I think the kids here have gone home. It's probably just the teachers' cars. I don't see any school buses around. And we're about out of it. In terms of the car's service history, it's been pretty good. I had a spark igniter on number 4 cylinder go bad at about 5,000 miles, and that was replaced under warranty. And I've had to replace one tire that was damaged badly in a chuck hole down in Indianapolis, which brings up one of the real negatives about new cars, because a lot of them, and this one's included, don't have spare tires anymore. I have this one-time use inflation kit that will, I suppose it works. I've never had to try to use one, but supposedly you can hook this thing up to your flat tire and it'll seal it and put air back in it, and you can drive it to a repair shop and get the tire fixed. Well, that may work well for a nail, but it doesn't work at all if your sidewall is broken, which mine was. Didn't damage the wheel, just broke the sidewall. So I borrowed a jack from a friend, jacked it up, took the wheel off, hauled it down to the Honda dealer. They replaced the tire for me. I had to pay for it, of course. While I was there, I bought a wheel and a tire on it. because this car, being based on a Civic, has a wheel well in the trunk for a spare tire, full-size spare. So about the cheapest tire I could get, and a steel wheel, not the alloy wheel that goes on the car, and put it in there. And now if I have another flat, oh, by the way, it came with a jack and a lug nut wrench too, all nestled in a little foam, custom made foam block that fits real well in the trunk. If you get one of these cars, I'd recommend that you negotiate one of those before you take it home, because the last thing really you want is to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere with a flat tire and no way to fix it. So we're back to town road here. I suppose it'll be when we get there and go back west, this will be the second roundabout we went through when we started. And I'm not really trying to do anything exceptional here with gas mileage either. I'm just using the gas pedal like you normally would. I'm not trying to power the car down while we're coasting or anything. It's just the fact that that engine's not running full time really helps us with our fuel economy. I think on this trip my engines maybe run probably less than 50% of the time. And here we go. We got one more roundabout, then we're back to 116th Street. So if you buy a hybrid, you're obviously, I hope, not expecting to get a high performance car, because you're not going to get one. You're going to get a car that gets good fuel economy, reasonable handling. Yep, had to tap the brakes again there just to be safe. Oh, there's another one up there. I forgot about that. That's the last one. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, reasonable handling, pretty comfortable to drive, but it's not a Corvette. It's not even an Accord. The Accord will run rings around this car. Acceleration and handling. And you could get an Accord hybrid, but the hybrid isn't even as quick as the gasoline engine one. So you got to keep in mind when you buy one of these cars, don't be too critical and expect things that it was never designed to do. It's designed to get good gas mileage, and it achieves that. So I've been pretty darn happy with it. Almost done. Maybe 2 more minutes or so. We have 2 more roundabouts to go through, and we'll be back to where we started at Weston Drive and Shelburne Road. Okay. What else can we talk about? So right now we're using, shifted back into hybrid or electric mode there. And I'm down to 68 miles. Ooh, I think I better go get some gas. So we're going to turn right here. We're out of the right lane. No traffic coming. And we're going to go back through University High School school zone, 25 miles an hour. And we're going to get pretty close to 70 miles to a gallon, at least high 60s. Oh, is that a police car sitting there? No. We do see Carmel City Police sitting in this 25-mile-an-hour zone pretty frequently, but not today. School's been back in session about 2 weeks here, and so far we've had no incidents of any coronavirus outbreaks in the schools. It's hopeful, but time will tell. So if you're an aggressive driver, you buy one of these cars and you use the brakes aggressively, use the accelerator pedal aggressively, drive it over the speed limit, you're going to be probably not get the EPA mileage ratings out of it. And you might be overall disappointed because it's not going to give you just super great performance. And you're not going to get the fuel economy that you thought you would. So here we are. Yep, this is our last roundabout. Shelburne Road and 116th Street. I think we hit the brakes about 4 or 5 times and they were just light taps. So we'll be stopping down here when we get back to my subdivision entrance where we started, and we'll see how we did. So up to 68. And we'll turn in here and slow down. How'd we do? 69.3 for the trip. So that's how you get good mileage out of a Honda hybrid system. And the little insight here, you can get excellent gas mileage if you just try a little bit. So thank you for watching, and let me know if you're interested in any other demonstrations of what this little car can do. Goodbye.